the best advice I can give and what's really helped me is to, yes, be inspired by others, but don't focus on that. Focus on your own journey and what you bring to the sport and to the community, because that'll make all the difference.
Hey Ninja Babes, it's Kara here. I want to let you know about something new and exciting that's in the Ninja Babes online store. So Marie Young is a fellow Ninja Babe in our community, and she has created her own healing cream and bath bombs that are meant for restoring sore muscles post-workout. So it's like the climbing balm that you might use after your hands have ripped up and they're really sore, or bath bombs. I love bath bombs. I don't know about you, but I'm seriously addicted, so I cannot wait to try her bath bombs. But they're all made with all natural ingredients and essential oils that are meant to help soothe and restore your muscles. So check it out in the online store. Her brand is called Stronger Play. So you can see those products listed in the Ninja Babe store. So check it out. If there are other women within our community that are selling a product that is exclusive to the Ninja community and they think it would be a good fit for the Ninja Babes online store, shoot me an email and let's talk. Let's see if your product is a good fit for the Ninja Babes community. You can email me at theninjababes@gmail.com. Hello, welcome to the Ninja Babes podcast. I'm here with Megan Johnson. Hey, Megan.
Hello.
It's so great to have you on. You've been a long time friends and like fellow Ninja competitor, and you've been here in the New Jersey area with me, so it's been really fun to get to know you and to compete with you and train together, and I'm so thrilled to have you on today.
Yeah, I'm excited.
So where are you talking to us right now?
I'm currently in Los Angeles. I'm here for the month. I'm on my medical school rotation and it's all online this month, so I came out to California.
Amazing. So let's just dive into it then. So you're a medical school student. How far along in the program are you?
Yeah, so I'm in my third year. So right now I just spend a month at a time going through all the different specialties in medicine, and I rotate from hospital to hospital. So kind of a nomad right now. I don't really have a specific home base.
Yeah. How long have you been doing this rotation? Like, how long have you been a nomad basically? And when do you think you'll be finished?
Okay. So med school's 4 years. So first 2 years we just spend with our heads in a book, taking a bunch of tests, learning book medicine. And then starting third year, so starting this August, I started rotating through each specialty. And I do this for 2 years. So I'm about a year and a half now away from being a full-fledged physician.
Amazing. And it's pretty crazy because you've been doing all this amidst ninja training and competing on A&W, right?
Yeah, I kind of started ninja just a few months before I started medical school, and it's been like my most important outlet.
Wow. Yeah, and that was during season 10, correct?
Yeah. Season 10, I came in, I really had no idea what I was doing. I was like very new to ninja. Mm-hmm. And that was just kind of the beginning of the journey. It was right before I started medical school.
Wow. That's so cool. And that's around when I feel like I met you at A&W filming. Right?
I think we met at MLab like a few days before filming.
Oh, right. That makes sense. Yeah. The memories.
I know.
Yeah. So today on the podcast, I want to talk more about, your time on A&W and kind of what you've learned through ninja and all of that. But I also want to talk about why you have wanted to become a doctor in the first place, and really what you've learned from your time in medical school and just kind of that journey. So we'll tie those two together, but that's what we're going to focus on today.
Sounds great.
Yeah. So why, hold on.
How, why, when, where?
Why did you want to become a doctor in the first place?
So I don't have like an initial cliche inspirational story that made me want to be a doctor. I actually have an undergrad degree in accounting and a minor in political science. I thought I wanted to go to law school. I realized very quickly that I'm like too nice. I don't know how to lie to people or have a poker face, and I hate sitting at a desk. So, towards the end of my undergrad degree, I started thinking about medicine. And really, like, what led me into medicine was just knowing that I really wanted to help people. I was really into health and fitness and just kind of having the grades for it. Because my degree was accounting, I actually had to go back to school for 2 years and do a post grad degree to get all the health courses I needed to even be able to apply to medical school. So during that first month in my post grad program was kind of really when everything came together for me. My mom actually passed away suddenly in that first month, and that was kind of really where I found my why for medicine. Like, I suddenly understood how my experiences could bring passion to the job and help others deal with really difficult situations that before my answer to that question was kind of just boring. But after that, kind of had a better understanding.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And it's like an unfortunate but very true thing that for so many of us, we're the best at teaching something or helping in a certain way because we went through some sort of tragedy related to it. Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
So it's it's hard losing a parent, but it is like commendable and very awesome that you're able to do something constructive because of that and out of it. And I'm sure in your lifetime as a doctor, you're going to experience those patients and people who unfortunately lose loved ones. And it's comforting in a way to know that you've been through that and you know personally how to deal with it and what it's like, and you're able to give that back to your patients.
Yeah. It's something as a physician, depending on the specialty, you deal with almost every day or at least once a week. And it's been very interesting so far just to see how different physicians react to that and how their experiences come into it. And I just think, obviously, it's the most terrible thing that's ever happened to me, but it's also going to bring such a strength to my job when I'm doing that, when I'm able to like see people and understand what they're going through.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, compassion is, I feel like, a huge part of what's brought you to the field. So that's good.
Yeah.
Did you already mention, or maybe I missed it, what is your focus in medicine?
So I actually just decided this in the past month. I've had to make the decision. I'm leaning towards going into emergency medicine. It's you never know what you're going to see in a day, and I love that. I love that every day is a new experience and a new learning experience. And it's just, I don't want to say fun because that makes me sound morbid, but I have fun in the emergency room. And I think that's definitely a place where my strengths will also shine.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense though, because like, especially with Ninja, like you have to be able to make quick decisions and
Yeah.
operate with what's happening in front of you. And so that makes a lot of sense that you would be a good fit for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you feel like is something that you've learned during your journey as a medical student so far?
Oh, well, I think I learned something new every day. I think the biggest thing coming in as a third year and just starting to see medicine in real life is learning that like medicine is way more than just dealing with organs and systems. It's like a huge lesson in humanity every day. People present with symptoms that are like similar to life threatening illnesses. And when you get down to the root of it, sometimes it ends up just being something as simple or as complicated as terrible stress. And that's something that as a medical student, I will go see a patient first because that's usually how it works. The medical student goes in, we talk to the patient, and then we report back to the doctor and tell them like what we think it is. And there's been so many times where I have come like speed walking out of the room, trying to keep calm, thinking that this person is about to die of something, and then presenting this to the physician, and then they go back in and just have a simple conversation with the patient about stress. And I think that's been the most eye-opening thing, and like a huge skill that comes down to like experience and learning how to deal with humanity that I'm still finding. But I think that was the most eye-opening thing in medicine for me, is just humanity and learning how to sift through all that.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And it's funny that you mentioned that, because I feel like growing up, I would always hear doctors or like adults talk about how like stress can really like wreak havoc on your body, and stress can like do all
Yeah.
this stuff to you. And I always thought like, oh, well, I don't have stress, so I don't know what you're talking about. But I was like a child, so it's like
Yeah.
life was fun, and I didn't really think about things like that. But coming into adult life, like yeah, in my 20s, I definitely saw how I would have like weird stuff going on, and it was stress related. And I can think of like personal stories of friends who during quarantine like really experienced
Yeah.
strange like symptoms, and they were it came back to stress and just like what was going on.
Yeah. Yeah. And especially like during this whole COVID situation, I was in the emergency room and people would come in and say that they're like having tingling and numbness in all parts of their body and like can't walk and sit up straight. And then you go in the room and they just want to talk to somebody. They just want to tell their story. And that's really all it is.
Wow, that's so interesting, but it's so true. I mean, when you're going through like you feel so stressed, and you probably are in a situation where you don't know who to talk to, there's no one else in your life that you can count on. It's like coming to a doctor in a strange way like seems like the right solution,
Yeah.
and you're presenting with so many symptoms that can make you feel like something's really wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Is there anything that you've learned or any like experience that you've had that's been like a really strange moment, or like maybe a really impactful moment, or like a cool story? I know you can't go into like personal details, but is there anything that's like, oh man?
This one's really hard because I think every day in medicine is really weird and is
Oh.
really amazing at the same time. And it's so hard to pin down a specific incident that I can tell you about that one is PG and two is not like bloody and disgusting to
Oh.
the average human. So really my answer to this question is just like every day is a new experience and like pushes me in a million different ways. Um, I, I mean, I'm only a few months into this, and I feel like I've seen everything and anything.
That's so wild, because yeah, it's like you are still so new, and there's like years and years and years ahead of you of new
Yeah.
patients every day. Yeah. So kind of like let's move into our ninja focus for a bit.
Yeah.
Um, before we get into talking about your time at A&W and like what you're thinking about for this next year, is there anything that you feel like you've learned being a med student so far that you've applied to your training, or that you think is just like good advice for athletes in general?
Uh, yeah. So, I mean, I'm really interested in down the line in my career doing like a sports medicine fellowship and studying athletic performance. So right now, I can't really give any expert advice, but there's definitely like a few important tidbits that you learn in medicine, just science in general. Um, I think some things that we know for sure that all the literature shows, stretching reduces muscle injuries and increases joint range of motion. I think we all know that whether we like to stretch or not. Um, Adequate protein can help offset muscle damage and promote recovery. Another thing, it's really hard to do to get a lot of protein, but definitely helps. Underhydration can affect cardiovascular performance. So all the cardio we ninjas hate to do, well, staying hydrated is really important. And then also just like alcohol has well documented negative effects on performance. And I think these are probably the main things that are really studied that medicine can say would help all of us ninjas.
Yeah, no, that's great tips to throw out there. And also, it's funny that you say that water is linked to cardiovascular, because that makes obvious sense. But
Yeah.
I always feel like my cardio is not great, but I definitely know I don't drink enough water. And that
Yeah.
was just like a light bulb in my mind that, oh yeah, water probably has to do with everything in life.
Yeah, I have a big trouble with that too. Me and Rachel Goldstein were actually like for about a week, and then it just fizzled off because we couldn't do it anymore. We were trying to promote drinking. Every day we would like report back to each other how much water we were drinking, but it was just so hard.
Yeah. I know Angela Gargano's walked around there with her like gallon jug trying to like drink a gallon every
Yeah,
day.
oh, she's so good at it.
Yeah, it's true. It's a lot.
Such
I'm
an
gonna try now.
inspiration.
I filled up a glass of water before this interview and I left it on the
Oh,
counter. I left it on the counter.
good. Well, it's there. Once this is over, you can go drink it.
Yeah, I'll get on that. So, all right. So I'm wondering, everyone knows that you're super into parkour besides just
Yeah.
ninja. Do you have a love one over the other, ninja or parkour?
You know, I feel like they are so similar in so many ways that I kind of see them as one and the same. I mean, there is an obstacle and a creative way to get through it in both of them. And I think parkour has been my basis and my foundation that's allowed me to be better at ninja, but I don't really see them as different. It's just parkour is a lot easier to do when I can't make it to a ninja gym, and I feel like when I'm at the ninja gym, I end up like throwing a backflip or working on my laches anyway. So I kind of
Mhm.
see them as the same.
Yeah, totally. That makes sense. I think the thing that I love about parkour, which it's like you said, it's the same. You see this in Ninja too, but I love when athletes can really put together a line that's so flowy and beautiful, and it just looks like
Yeah.
effortless. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say no, but I feel like in parkour, it's cool that it can seem like one little area with just like some bars and boxes or whatever, but like you can make up something that's so beautiful and it can be like back and forth and like how did you do that with such like few options for movements, but yet there's like an infinitive amount of options for movements. Like I think it's cool.
Yeah, I guess the difference is parkour, you can spend hours and hours working on the same line over and over again, and no one's gonna tell you that you failed an obstacle or you fall in water and you can't keep going. So I think parkour is nice in the way that you can really take the time to break down movements, and I'll work on something over and over again for hours and hours that is so simple, but just to put it all together in a line takes a lot of practice and counting out your steps and everything, and that's different from ninja, but it also translates to ninja for like balance obstacles. Like before I start one, I'll count out my steps and I'll know like I did something like this in parkour, so I can translate that to this balance obstacle. And it works out.
Yeah, I mean any way that you can build up that repertoire in your mind of like just remembering the movement, remembering how it feels, and that's always like awesome to have that.
Yeah, and I think with parkour, I have learned movements that not only did I think I would never be able to do, but that I thought were physically impossible for a human to do. And it's just been breaking down that movement and having the time to go through it over and over again.
That's so cool. I love that. I love watching all your videos, so it's pretty exciting.
Thanks.
Do you find that Kyle has taught you a lot of the parkour that you're doing, or is it something that you've picked up more on your own or just like being at a gym?
So I had a really good parkour coach when I was back in Philadelphia last year. Like for the last my first 2 years of med school when I was in Philadelphia all the time. Who really I would walk into the gym and he would be like, "You're learning this today." A move that I thought was physically impossible, and we would work through it and break it down. So like I had somebody that believed in me before I met, well, I knew Kyle, but before me and Kyle started dating, so I had like a basis before, but now he's been like a great motivation and helping me just break things down even more and pushing me to do things now that I don't have a solid parkour gym. But it's been nice to have somebody to do it with all the time.
Yeah, totally. No, but I think it's so cool to see how you've grown in it and even just knowing you as a friend and like looking back to when I remember you first started doing some parkour stuff or like posting some videos, and now it seems so advanced compared to where you were back then.
Yeah, it's really a mind thing. Like I've talked
Mhm.
about a lot already, like just breaking things down, and then the next time you go to learn something else, you're like, oh, well, I did this, so now I can build upon that.
Absolutely. Yeah. How do you feel about kind of going back to A&W? Um, your rookie year on the show was A&W 10 in Philadelphia, right?
Yep.
How did you feel applying and like going into it your first time? Were you intimidated or were you kind of like, I don't know, I'll just try and see what happens?
Yeah, so my first season, I had no idea what I was doing. Like, being on a TV set is a whole new experience, and I was still pretty new to Ninja. I'd only been doing it a few months. I was just on this high of not knowing what this crazy thing I was doing was. And, like, I I don't remember really being nervous because I didn't know what I was doing. It was just awesome, and everyone was so nice, and I was meeting all these people, and I didn't get aired that season, and I'm completely okay with that because it wasn't really, I wasn't ready, to be completely honest. And then just to carry forward, like season 11, I was a completely different athlete and I felt completely ready and like not, I mean, we all have nerves, but I knew what I was
Mhm.
doing. And when I walked up on the platform, it felt familiar. So yeah, they were completely different seasons.
Yeah, totally. And it's cool to have like that self-awareness of realizing even the differences in yourself from season 10 to season 11. Um,
Yeah.
but what did you feel like? So I asked this not to like pinpoint it in an awkward way, but how did you feel not being aired? Like, I know you said you knew you weren't ready and all that, but did you feel any sort of disappointment? And if so, I want to talk about it more because
Yeah.
there's a lot of people who don't get aired. So how
Yeah.
did it? Yeah,
So
did it feel disappointing?
season 10, no. It wasn't my time. I think the thing about season 11, as you know, there were so many incredible women, and many of us fell at the same spot on the same obstacle.
Yep.
And I understand that it's hard for producers to like show the same thing over and over again. Um, I mean, it's definitely disappointing to not get aired, and I had to fight the negative thoughts of feeling like I wasn't good enough or interesting enough. But when I look back at like all that Ninja has done for me and all the incredible experiences and the friends and the life lessons, like it really puts into perspective how little being aired actually matters. And I mean, of course, I want to be aired, but like I didn't start this sport to become famous. I got hooked on how limitless this sport is and the community and everybody involved in it. So, you know, there's times where I want to get down on myself, but then there's really no reason to because being aired is such a little dot in the whole grand picture of everything.
Yeah, no, I really respect you for saying that just because you're right. Like it is such like a minute moment in the grand scheme of like what ninja can mean for you and like what you can learn from
Yeah.
it. But I think like to put it into perspective for some people who might not realize, there's between like I'd have to look up how many ninjas there were at that particular competition, but in each region there's between like 80 and 95 or maybe even closer to 100 athletes,
Mhm.
and then only like 30 or less are those who actually get aired, and some of it's just like a quick like breeze by of like a short clip of like what they did, and others it's more of a full story. But so there's so many athletes who don't get shown at all, and you were one of the people who didn't get shown, but it's not for like lack of ability or lack of personality. It's like you said, the
Yeah.
producers have to make a decision. um and for you and me in Baltimore, like we made it basically to the same exact spot, and it
Yeah.
literally just came down to like a few seconds of time.
Hmm.
And so I say that because I value you so much, and I know your athletic ability, and I know who you are as a person. And so it's like I think so many people, like the thing that always gets me is like I'll introduce myself if it's like an event where people know I'm a ninja warrior and whatever, and the first question they always ask me is, "Did you win?"
Uh-huh.
And I'm
Yeah.
always like, this is the worst question because first of all, who really wins, quote unquote, like Ninja Warrior? Like, yes,
Yeah.
you can hit a buzzer and that's like an accomplishment and you can say that's winning, but really like very few people have actually won and like beat the whole show. So yeah, so I hate getting asked that question. I feel like I always go on like
Same.
a soapbox like tangent of explaining like what does it mean to win. It always comes down to like Ninja Warrior is about your personal goals. It's about your personal experience and how that's changed you. That's what it is to me.
Yeah.
And so just to hear you explain it that way is so encouraging because I think you're right. I think it is about what has this whole journey taught me. And like, regardless of who wants to recognize that or not, like if ninja doesn't mean something to you personally, that's like, why are you doing it? It's just,
Yeah.
you're going to run out of steam at some point. If
Yeah.
you're always just doing it for other people. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I love that you brought that question up of did you win the show? That I get that so much. And I'm just like, I don't know how to answer this. Do you want the long-winded answer? Another thing about not getting aired but like telling people you're on the show, I'll get people all the time that'll be like, oh, that's why you look so familiar. I saw you on TV. And I'm like, no, you didn't though. It's
That's really funny.
complicated.
It's complicated. Yeah. And yeah, I don't even know what to say about that. But yeah, I mean, if they look at you on social media, like there's definitely pictures of like being on set and that sort of thing. But yeah, it's true. And then
it's hard to
tough.
explain.
Yeah, it is hard to explain. And then also it's like, oh yeah, I've been on American Ninja Warrior. And if you weren't actually aired, it's like you were still on it. You were still part of the TV show. But then it's like, but how do I prove that to anyone?
Right.
If I don't even have a picture, it can be like very weird. Yeah.
Yeah. That part's a little frustrating.
Yes. The good news is there are so many other ways that we're involved with Ninja, right? So
yeah.
There's so many leagues that are developing, and as we speak, like there's all these like smaller leagues that I feel like a lot of people don't know about that are trying to, raise up their own competitions and things like that. So are doing those local comps something that you partake in, that you look forward to, or is that something that you're not really doing right now?
Yeah, I used to do a ton. I did it last year. Wasn't like a huge year. I did a few. The year before, I did a ton. I think it's definitely a really great way to work on your mindset, work on just being competition ready. This year, I haven't really been focusing on that at all, partially due to the global pandemic, but also just this year I've been trying to just get back to basics and kind of reset and fix some form on things and learn new ways to do things so that I am more well-rounded when it comes to the sport.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's a great place to be in. I think for so many of us, it has been like a kind of a strange transition year. I mean, the pandemic has been extremely hard for some people, and for others, it's just kind of felt like a weird year on pause.
Yeah.
And so I think, take advantage of whatever's happening and just learn what you can and, do what you can that makes sense for you.
Yeah, definitely. I've been trying to learn gymnastics this year.
Yeah, all your backflips are coming along.
It's been a lot of fun. And I think gymnasts in Ninja just have such a great foundation. And I'm trying to understand that foundation a little better. And it's just been so much fun trying to learn all these new things.
Yeah. Do you have any goals for 2021 or like new things that you're trying to learn next?
For Ninja and athletics in general, I mean, I think I'm just trying to become a better athlete so I can hit that gosh darn buzzer.
Yes.
Yeah, this year I've kind of just been focusing on the basics, like I said, and like my goals in my phone, I have a list of things I want to do every day. But they're really just basic things because I think that foundation for Ninja is so important because it is such a well-rounded sport with so many different aspects to it.
Yeah, for sure. Is there something that you feel like, how do I want to say this? Sorry, I'm like thinking. Is there something new that you want to implement that you might feel is like daunting, but you're ready to go after it? Or like how do you go about trying to try new things? Are they like really ambitious, or are you trying to like really focus on like tiny bits of those basics like you said?
I think that the tiny bits kind of all come together to be able
Yeah.
to do bigger things. Even something like getting up the warped wall. Well, I've done that a million times, but if I lose the basic leg strength and explosion to do that, it doesn't matter. So I think just keeping strength, and also I'm kind of dealing with a knee situation. I tore the cartilage off my knee earlier in the year, and it's just kind of like this chronic thing I'm going to have now. So I really have to focus on doing rehab for it. And so that's kind of really grounded me to go back to just making sure that my body's ready to handle all these crazy things that ninja entails. I know you understand that with your
Yes.
shoulder. So that's kind of where I am.
Yeah, no, I definitely understand, and that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, for me, it's been similar, as you know, with my shoulder. Just I came back from surgery and like did all the rehab and felt really good, and that put me on the timeline of like March
Hmm.
2020, and that's right when the pandemic started. So I had just been
Yeah.
getting back into gyms. I had just filmed like my first videos of like doing laches and all that stuff, and then the gyms were closed, and I was like, oh man.
Yeah.
So it was rough, and it definitely put like a bump into my not so much my recovery, but like my back to sport, like back to ninja type of timeline.
Hmm.
But I did as much as I could at home and tried to like find outdoor stuff to go to. But then, being in New Jersey, it's kind of like I don't really want to go anywhere because I feel like Corona's everywhere. Um,
Yeah.
so it was tough. But yeah, I feel like now um, got a lot of great conditioning options here at home and getting to the gym when
Yeah,
I
your
can.
home
And
gym looks awesome.
yeah, we just completed it not too long ago. So it's great to just have some sort of like really good conditioning at home because my grips is not in the terrible place, but it's just not where I want it to be. And so like
Hmm.
basic stuff like just doing grip drills and challenging myself to like be in lock offs and, one arm movements and stuff like that. I really want to just like you said, like fine tune a lot of the movement that I'm doing to be technically better. I mean, not just to like
Yeah.
to I don't know, to preserve my body better too. It's like I wanted to know that I'm doing the techniques of things efficiently. So I'm not like wasting time or like wasting energy or doing something in a way that could like compromise my body in some way.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the first year or two in Ninja, you spend so much time just like learning how these obstacles work, and like that's a whole new experience. But once you get to a certain point, like we know how a lot of the obstacles work. It's more just being able to rely on our bodies to do the motion. So I think at least where I'm at, I feel like the best thing I can do is making sure that my body is conditioned to do those movements still, especially after a global pandemic.
Yeah, absolutely. So I take it that you applied for season 13.
Yeah, I did. Um,
Woohoo.
yeah, I'm hoping everything is okay. I wasn't able to compete last season. I
Hmm.
got called, but then we didn't know when production was going to start. And then I got sent off to army training, and
Hmm.
it happened while I was at army training. So I'm hoping that something like that doesn't happen again this year.
Yeah. Oh man, that would be tough. um,
Yeah.
yeah. What do you have any other advice for ninjas or even people who want to get into parkour or just like life in general?
Hmm. That's a very broad question.
I know it's broad. Okay.
um,
I can make it less broad.
um, I think when it comes to ninja in particular, since this is the Ninja Babes podcast, I think most ninjas struggle with some sort of mentality issue, whether you're the best or just starting out. This sport's really difficult because it's so multifaceted, and everyone's really good at something, and you want to be
Mhm.
just as good as them at whatever they're good at. And then we feel like we have to pull ourselves in all these different directions to be just as good as everybody else. And it's really hard not to compare yourself to others. So I think the best advice I can give and what's really helped me is to, yes, be inspired by others, but don't focus on that. Focus on your own journey and what you bring to the sport and to the community, because that'll make all the difference.
Yeah, I think that's such excellent advice, because it's so true. It's easy, even with people's personalities, to like look at the different ninjas and be like, "Oh, this person's so funny, and that person
Yeah.
like brings in this element, and I should try to be like this person," or like whatever. But
Yeah.
it's true. Like we're so involved, I feel like, with each other and involved in what's going on with everybody that it can be easy to feel like you need to be pulled in all those directions. So I think that's really great advice.
Yeah. And everyone is so different in Ninja. Like, we have somebody from every walk of life. And it's just really hard not to want to be as incredible as that person and that person and this person.
Yeah, totally. But at the end of the day, that's like why we're all here, right? It's like because we
Yeah,
love the community and we love just how different everybody is, and it's just such a cool place to be.
for sure. One big happy family.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. Is there anything else you'd like to share before we end up?
I don't think so. Thanks so much for having me.
Yes. Thanks for listening, Ninja Babes. One of the greatest ways that you can say thank you for making this podcast, or that you can just show your appreciation or express what you like about the podcast, would be to write a review. It actually means so much to us when you write a review, because it helps other people find the podcast. It helps other people know the podcast is credible and something good that they should be listening to. So write us a review on iTunes and let us know why you love the podcast. Thanks for listening.
Be strong. Be you. Be a ninja babe.
Hey, yes.